What is up, Card Geeks? Welcome to our fourth episode. I am one of your hosts, Hoosier. I am here with my good friend, Nomah from Nomah Sports Cards. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. How are you, my friend?
I am really excited to get into this episode because we are going to be interviewing you on your YouTube journey and card collecting journey. So I'm really excited to get into it. But we wanted to let you guys know that there are official Card Geeks t-shirts available for purchase. So if you guys want to support us, support what we do, and help the launch of our new channel, you can go ahead and click the link in the description and get yourself your very own Card Geeks official shirt. And by the way, if we happen to see you at the National wearing this shirt, there may be some really cool giveaway prizes involved. So you never know.
And we may be carrying around laundry pens, and if you want us to sign it, it'll happen.
Absolutely. So you could be the first to have the Card Geeks dual autographed signed t-shirt. So that would be pretty cool. All
The
right.
first ever.
All right, my friend, let's get right into the nitty gritty. I'm really excited to get your thoughts and perspectives on some of the questions that we have. So, can you share a memorable moment, first off, from your early days of collecting? Before we're going to get into the YouTube questions and the content creation, but what was young Nomah's best memory of collecting cards?
Well, in 1988, when I was 11, there just became, you know how it is when you're a kid, what your friends are doing, you just start doing it.
Yep.
So I don't know why. I honestly don't know what was the germ that started this, but just all of a sudden, all my friends were buying 1988 tops and talking about them and trading them and what have you. So I had to get into it too because I wanted to do what they were doing. And this was the beginning of the end for G.I. Joe for all of us
Okay.
and the beginning of baseball cards. There was a couple years where they overlapped,
Yeah.
but that's what I remember is I just remember all my friends were buying 88 tops and we just got into it.
That's great. Do you have a favorite card store from your childhood? Like, do you have a favorite memory or a favorite card store that you used to visit frequently?
So there was a card shop in the next town over that was open. I don't remember. It was like every third Sunday from 2 to 4, something crazy
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
However, my dad was still living in the Boston area, so whenever I would go visit him, which was quite regular, I was able to go to Baseball Card Palace in Newton, Massachusetts. And I ended up, I think I was 12 or 13, getting a job there after I moved to be with my dad full time. And I was too young to work. So they paid me, I still remember, it's $5 an hour of store credit. And so I just worked there whenever I could, sorting cards for them, greeting customers. I mean, I ran the cash register, I did everything.
That's
It was probably
awesome.
highly illegal, but they
Right.
didn't
Right.
they didn't pay me any money. They paid me in cards, and so I was stoked. My dad was stoked because it was a safe environment for me to be in
Right.
after school and in the summers. And yeah, Baseball Card Palace, it's not there anymore, but Jim and Pete, wherever you are, if you somehow see this, Jim and Peter Colin Vocus, I still remember their names. Well, hmm, uh, that's the name I made up. That's not their real name because I
Yeah.
don't want them getting in trouble with the Labor Department. But I think
Yeah.
we're well past, well, 35 years ago, we're probably
Yeah.
past the statute of limitations on that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that's something that I think is so cool about the hobby shop experience. And I think that that's coming back, especially with events like Topps Hobby Rip Night. These hobby stores are such a great place for kids to, like you said, go hang out after school. It's a safe place, it's a positive environment. So it's just awesome hearing that so many
Yeah,
collectors have these amazing memories of their local card store growing up.
for sure. Yeah, 1,000%. But one of the things we do on Nomah Sports Cards is that we do card shop tours. So I just retired from a job where I was traveling a lot for work as marketing was part of my job. And I would always go to visit card shops in different towns that I was visiting. And after starting the channel, I started to post those. And I'm now doing a fair amount of travel just for fun because many of you know that my wife just got through a health issue and we're now in a little bit of celebratory travel where we're just going and having a good time and enjoying being retired and being healthy. And we have another
Definitely.
business brewing, so we're kind of taking our shots while we can before the new business really kicks into gear. So I do record a lot of these card shop tours, and I recently got to visit Bleecker Sports Cards in New York City. And actually, as you know, but the people may not know this yet, I got to get a tour from Breaks with Jess, who's a bit of a giant in our space.
Mhm.
And sooner or later, guys, we want to interview her and have a Card Geeks episode with her being. But if you don't know Breaks with Jess, please check her out because it's an awesome channel. It's a lot of fun. It's fun just to watch whether you do the breaks or not. But if you want to do breaks, you might as well do them with someone who's super positive. But the reason I brought that up is that she works at Bleecker Trading, and they have a very intentionally, you'll see it when I post the tour of it. It's very intentionally a very kid-centric space where the front room is where they sell cards, but then there's a middle room and then a backyard. And pretty
Okay.
hard to have yard space in New York City, but it's really geared toward having an environment where kids can hang out, be safe, trade, and it's just awesome. So love card shops that do that and create that family friendly vibe for sure.
Definitely. I definitely agree that at the end of the day, it's all about the kids and making sure that they have a positive experience in the hobby. Now, it was interesting that you mentioned some of the things that Bleecker Trading Cards did to kind of be an inclusive space for kids. Do you see any other areas of the sports card hobby evolving? And how do you plan to adapt?
Yeah, for sure. So my channel is very intentionally family friendly. Having grown up in the Boston area in a big Irish family, my verbiage is sometimes a bit salty. And
Hmm.
so I have to be very careful to not have that in my videos. But I did that on purpose because I really wanted people to be able to enjoy it with their kids and with their families. I know that you're the same way. So I think that one evolution that's important for all of us content creators, for Fanatics, for Tops, for Panini, for anyone who's in this space, LCS, everybody, is to make it relevant to grown-ups who don't have kids or are empty nesters or whatever, and just enjoy the hobby for themselves, and also make it friendly to kids and to families. I know there's a lot of families who collect with their children,
Yeah.
and so finding that balance, I think, is really key.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned that you're a family friendly channel, and I know that a lot of us really appreciate that. I absolutely love your content. You're always so positive, and you're always bringing in new aspects of videos and new aspects of collecting. So, is there a specific type of content that seems to really resonate with your audience the most?
Yeah, so basically it falls into three categories. There's either me going to games and getting autographs and clowning around, and people like it when I put my GoPro on and stream
Yeah.
that, or opening cards, or doing those card shop tours that I mentioned. And definitely, it seems like when I just open cards, that is the thing that is most popular. However, there are other things that seem to be popular as well. One thing I have found a little puzzling is that I might spend a whole bunch of money on a brand new product and put it out there, and it might get a ton of clicks, but sometimes it doesn't.
Hmm.
Sometimes it does seem like when I hit a big card, people watch it more. I think that's because they're sharing it and they're showing it to other people. I try to
Right.
show a big card in every video one way or the other because I'm always doing trades and buying singles off of eBay. So if I have an opening that doesn't go very well, I try to show a good card, have a good card handy that the people haven't seen yet so that it's worth their while every time. But I really believe in truth in advertising, and I think part of the brand that we've built is being someone who is honest. And so I don't want to give the impression that it was a good opening when it wasn't, and
Right.
I will be honest about that. So I would say when I open cards and hit a really big card, that seems to be the most popular. But actually the format, I did it by accident one day and the video just took off. The format that really seems to do the best is when I go into a box store and they have product on the shelf and I spend maybe a minute or at tops 2 minutes just showing everybody what I'm looking at. And then I take it home and I open it.
Hmm.
And it usually has a title like, "What can $87 get us a Target?" I did it one time and it just blew up, and still very consistently when I do those videos, they're very popular. The trick is that there's not always product when you go into a
Right.
retail store.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a hit and miss with that. But that seems to be the very most popular format.
Yeah, and that's something that I wanted to point out that I love about your channel is the variety. Like you said, you have the autograph videos. I love the videos where you go to the ballpark and you're showing you getting autographs and interacting with players. You had the Corbin Carroll interview. You do the sports card shop tours. So there's a little something for everyone there. And I think that's just awesome. And I think that's something that a lot of other content creators should look at and look to incorporate in their channel as well, because
For sure.
people, they enjoy your what you do, they enjoy your specific brand, but they also enjoy seeing other aspects of things, of different sides of collecting, getting autographs, things like that. So that
Yeah.
is something that I love about your channel.
Well, I appreciate it. I try to think about the fact there's really in general three demographics that I'm going after. I'm going after loyal watchers who are subscribed and who seem to watch all my videos and they seem to watch them start to finish and they seem to comment. A lot of them are patrons supporting me on Patreon, and thank you guys so much. You know who you are. Those guys seem to really enjoy the variety and need the variety. And when I think about the channels that I'm super loyal to, I want that too.
Right.
Then we have the people who are more casual watchers, and they may only watch it when I do a rip and not watch it when I'm doing some other shenanigans. And then there's people who haven't discovered the channel yet, and I get one shot to make an impression when the algorithm decides to pull my content into their feed.
Right.
So I'm always in the back of my mind thinking, if someone has never seen me before and this is their first exposure, how do I get them engaged and want to participate and want to be part of this community? If someone is a very loyal watcher and watches me 3 or 4 times a week, how do I keep it? Actually, our show was part of it, me brainstorming, thinking, how do we keep things evergreen and keep people interested?
Right.
And then I also know that there's another bucket, which is people I'm also very grateful for who will always watch it when I do a kind of content, but they don't really care for the others for whatever reason. So those folks I'm just grateful for, but I don't really sweat it too much. I'm more trying to think about being relevant to new watchers and staying relevant to people that have been with me for a while.
Definitely. And I think that's really interesting, that you brought that up about how you're always thinking of new ways to keep content fresh. You've achieved some incredible milestones as a YouTube creator. You've passed not only one, but two and 3,000 subscribers. You've interviewed Corbin Carroll, NL Rookie of the Year. You've traded gear with him.
Mhm.
Now, this is clearly due to your work ethic and passion for the hobby. I wanted to throw up some stats here, to kind of give you a perspective. It said that estimated 90% of YouTube channels fail to reach 1,000 subscribers.
Wow.
or failed to continue after making just 2 videos. So you've clearly surpassed the mark. You're setting the standard of what it means to be a sports card content creator. How has your work ethic aided in your approach to making videos?
Boy, that's a great question. That's a great question. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to think of how to answer that without going into a really long digression, but I think I need to go to a short
Yeah,
digression.
go there.
So, so there's that saying, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And
Mm-hmm.
I do make money off of the YouTube channel, but it doesn't feel like work to me. And I should mention, I spend way more on cards than I am paid by Patreon and YouTube. So,
Yep.
yeah, I say I make money on it. It's more accurate to say I'm monetized, and I'm very appreciative because it does offset to some extent the costs
Right.
of having this hobby and of creating content. I my goal is to get to where it's a break even, where I'm not personally spending any money on cards, where all of the money I spend on cards is covered by the channel.
Right.
Obviously, we can get past that, that'd be great, but that's really my goal. And I'm just a normal person. I'm in behavioral health. That's what I do for my main living. And I actually started the channel just on a lark. I had bought a higher end product. I don't even remember what it was. And I recorded it just in case I pulled something really cool. And I pulled a Steven Strasberg 1 of 1 laundry tag. And that video is still in the archives, even though it's been almost 2 years. You can go back and look, and there's nothing on my desk.
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
lighting is terrible. And you can't see my face. I only have one camera.
Yep.
And but I pulled that card and then I posted it on the bench, which is where I do a lot of trading. Well, actually now most of my trading is with fans of the channel, but I used to be more
Yeah.
active on Sports Card
Yep.
Forum and the bench. And a bunch of people watched it and liked it, and like a few people subscribed and they said keep going. And then my second one I remember was a big league opening. I believe it was 23. It must have been 2023 big league had just come out, and I pulled a Nolan Gorman autograph.
Okay.
So that one did well.
Yeah.
And after that, I just kept going. And at that time, my father-in-law, who was my personal hero and just an awesome guy,
Mm-hmm.
he was actually on that day in the hospital. He passed away about a year ago, but this was like 2 years ago. So he had kind of a rough year that last year.
Yeah.
And it kind of turned into, honestly, doing the channel as a way to alleviate the stress so that I
Mm-hmm.
could be more present for him and my family and my work. And baseball cards have been part of that stress relief for years and years for me, ever since 2018 when I got back into the hobby. But at that time in particular, what I found was it was a way to share my love of what I was doing. Jason VT Sports Collector is probably watching this. He was one of the first adapters, and he is such a positive person in this hobby. And
Absolutely.
he and his son Kip have their own channel. So hi guys, if you're watching. But he started showing up very regularly in my comments and really encouraging me. And I still remember how excited he was when I got to 100 subs and just how encouraging. So for me, originally it was just a way to like share and connect. It was a way to alleviate stress and kind of distract myself, honestly, from
Yeah.
like a pretty intense like health situation in our family. And then the other thing was frankly that it really stretched my collecting dollar. At that time I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
monetized, so I wasn't making money off it. But you and I have talked about this. If you get to a certain point, it does help offset your expenses. But also, if I just open a box, I have the enjoyment and time of opening the box. But if I
Right.
record myself opening the box, now I have editing time, thumbnail time, optimization of the video time, and interacting with people in the comment section after I post it. So you're doubling or tripling your amount of time spent on the hobby and stress relief and interaction with awesome people without spending more money. So, I mean, I always feel like people that are fans of our show or of your show, my show, I don't think they really fully realize how much they're helping us out, because I
Definitely.
know you're crazy busy as well. And it's just such a great stress relief and it's fun. And so when people write to me and I write the Mac and they get excited that I wrote the Mac, because I guess a lot of content creators don't really interact with their fans. Or when someone asks me for my autograph or for a picture or something like that, they're kind of surprised that I'm happy to oblige, but
Right.
I don't think they realize how much fun it is for us. And as my friend Chris Kale, who plays bass in Five Finger Death Punch, he's kind of a pretty well-known
Yeah,
musician.
definitely.
He likes to say nobody plays guitar in their room to play guitar in their room. He does it because he wants to be up on stage sharing his
Right.
joy and his love of music with lots of people. I kind of feel the same way, when people dig what we're doing and they are positive in their responses, it just reinforces my wish to do it more. And so this is a very long way of answering your question, but I don't like, I definitely do have a strong work ethic. I think it's more about, I'm a recovering addict and I'm pretty open
Mhm.
about that with my fans, and I really want to let people know you can get through trauma and you can get through pain and you can get through addiction and still have a great life. But I think it's a matter of just replacing your habits with positive habits.
Definitely.
I'm a creature of habit, and I just have good habits nowadays, going to the gym, hiking my dogs, staying in community with my friends and my 12-step people and all of you guys, staying connected with my spouse. It requires time and effort to stay connected with your spouse. So my music, just having those things that are habits. So for me, I think there's a work ethic and a dedication to the channel, to wanting it to go well, to writing down ideas when I think of them, to maybe spending a little more money on that product that I think you guys will like, or to maybe, I'm on the road and I kind of just want to go to a shop and not record it and not go through the whole rigmarole, but it's like, yeah, but I know that they like it when I do that and I need content. So I think there's kind of a both and, where it's more to do with the fact that it's really fun
Right.
and I like doing it. I can't give myself a lot of credit for my work ethic, but at the same time, because I'm a creature of habit and I'm just in the habit now of doing it, and because I do take the time to keep myself on the right side of the street, so to speak, in my life, I do think that there is a certain amount of you have to be consistent. I think,
Mhm.
and anybody that wants to start a channel, you got to be consistent. I mean, I open cards anyway, and I go to stores anyway, and I go to games anyway. So it's a matter of getting in the habit of recording it. It's a matter of watching yourself so that you can improve and get better. It's a matter of reaching out to people who can mentor you. Like, you were super supportive early on, as was Stryker, as was Jeff Wilson, and now I have this connection with Jess that I'm hoping will be fruitful. So having the courage to like ask people for help, reach out, and it's an awesome community. It's an awesome hobby. So I think you just do your thing and you record yourself doing your thing and you try to get better at it. And the really important thing, I realize I'm now answering a question you didn't ask me, but for any of you guys that are out there thinking about doing what we do, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of watching yourself and trying to look at it as if you don't know you. Like, would I still be watching this right now if I didn't know me? That's really, really
That's a
important.
great point. Yeah, and that's really powerful. I really thank you for sharing that and being open. I think that that's something that people automatically recognize when they watch your videos, is just your genuineness and your passion and your love for baseball and collecting. It just shines through everything you do. So it
Thank you,
really
man.
is a pleasure to watch your videos and to work with you. And
Thank you so much.
I know that you're gonna help so many people with your openness, talking about the things that you've been through,
Thank
because
you.
everyone is connected through some type of pain in the human experience. Like we previously
Yep.
talked about in the last episode. So I think what you're doing is so awesome. So you speak a lot about your experience in behavioral health, and that is super awesome. How were cards beneficial? And you kind of touched on this, but how were they beneficial in decompressing after a day of work, which can include all sorts of variables? I also worked with at-risk youth. So for people who don't understand, a day in the life of a behavioral health worker could result in anything from having a great day full of amazing, productive conversations to being assaulted and being screamed at and cussed at and have all of that dumped on you. So how is that? So how are cards beneficial to that process?
Oh, that's great. Um, so it's a great question. I think that for me, first of all, I don't have the most stressful job in the world. I know people, including you, who are veterans, and that is more stressful than what I do. My brother-in-law is an EMT. I would say that's
Mhm.
more stressful. Having said that, it's one of the more stressful jobs you can have for
Definitely.
sure, working with at-risk youth. One of the things that I used to say when I was running a treatment center is nobody is here because things went well.
Right.
So
Yeah.
everyone's got their trauma and their triggers and their painful points. And
Mhm.
if a bunch of people are having a bad day on on the same day, that's really hard on the staff and on the team. So definitely for me, I think that when I first got into cards, it was definitely at a tricky time in my life for me. And it definitely, I mean, I guess I'll just leave it at that. My dad and my sister and my adopted step family are amazing. I have an amazing family, as well as the family that I married into. There were some characters involved in my birth family who were not in my life anymore by the time I was in high school, who were really having a hard time being alive on planet Earth and did not behave toward me in nurturing ways. That's probably the best way that I can put it. So I think cards definitely became a bit of an escape for me, but not in a bad way, just more in the getting lost in the world of the stats. I
Right.
mean, this is pre-internet. So getting lost in the world of the stats, getting lost in the trades, getting lost in trying to build a set, getting lost in, hey, I have an extra Mark McGuire, you have an extra Jose Canseco, let's switch. Now we both have both Bash Brothers and we're both happy. The dopamine hit of getting a great card, but also the dopamine hit of making a great trade with your buddy is something I really remember very viscerally, or even going to the LCS and finding a card that you really needed.
Yeah.
So I think for those of us who are a little older and who collected as kids, there's a saying in trauma work, which is what's wired together fires together. So there's something deep within me that when I walk into an LCS, or when I sit down to open cards is pretty stoked, and
Yeah.
that inner child is like, oh, this is going to be a fun, safe activity where the worst case scenario is I don't get any cards that I need.
Right.
Nothing bad's going to happen to you while you're
Right.
ripping cards. And I'm privileged to be in a position now where I do a lot of giveaways. I give a lot of cards to charity. I give a lot of cards to kids. I give a lot of cards just, there's a few people who um, I just know their circumstances in life and I know
Mhm.
how much they love cards and it's just a joy to be able to bless them. So even if I have a bad opening, it's not really bad because I know that first of all I'm making content and we're interacting, but also I'm able to uh, have cards I can give away. But I think for me it's the immersive nature of it. I can have something really heavy going on with a family member or at work or even childhood trauma, that might pop up from time to
Yeah.
time. And when I'm doing cards, sometimes it's even just putting on a podcast and sorting cards. There's again not to be too tangential, but there's the acquisition of cards, there's opening cards, there's sorting cards, there's trades, there's for those of us in the position we're in, there's putting packages together for my patrons and
Mhm.
doing the mailing labels. There's just a lot of it's just very relaxing. There's
Definitely.
just especially if you got a game on while you're doing it. It's just you're
Oh
just
yeah.
lost in the world of baseball
Mhm.
and in the history and the lineage and the connections with my dad. You know, he used to take me to games all the time at Fenway, and the connection with his dad, who played professionally in the Red Sox system, it's just very deep for me. So I think it creates a very clear another another word from psychotherapy world is a transitional object. So if you're trying to go from the adrenaline and the stress, the stress reactions in your body
Mhm.
and in your brain of work or family member sick or whatever, and you're trying to go into being relaxed, hanging out with your family, being a good dad, being a good parent, being a good spouse. The transitional object of sitting down and messing around with cards for 30 minutes, it literally for me is like flipping a switch. I just
Yeah.
go from agitated to relaxed, and I go from my inner child feeling kind of like edgy and like amped and am I safe and what's going on, to just like super chill. And so it's a great way to just enter into a more liminal space, a more relaxed space, a more calm space. And I'm guessing a lot of the people watching this experience it that way as well.
Yeah, and that's something that is also so fantastic, how the hobby connects so many different people from so many different walks of life and life experiences, and it's all knitted together by the love of collecting and sorting and putting sets together and different things like that. So that is really awesome. And you stated that there's never really a bad opening. You never have a bad opening. And I love that perspective because I think that, especially since the sports card explosion of 2020, and there's been so many comparisons made to opening packs and gambling. And I've even found myself opening packs and not enjoying it because I was like, oh, I didn't get a hit or I didn't get anything good. And then, like you said, when you take a step back and you're able to see, hey, I'm opening baseball cards. I'm just relaxing. I'm at home. There might be a game on, like you said. I'm opening baseball cards. Like, this is fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a big believer in that we have three kinds of assets. We have our time, our money, and our energy.
Hmm.
So if you have the time to open cards or sort cards or talk about cards or watch videos about cards, and you have the money, even if you only have $10 and you can afford to buy a pack or two packs or 10 singles or whatever, and you have the energy, I've got a couple of people that I interact with on my channel who have like major health problems.
Hmm.
And it'll be like I'll get emails like, "Hey, sorry I haven't sent my part of the trade out. I haven't been out of the house in a week because my fill in the blank has been acting up." I mean, the fact that my hands work, like
Right.
I'm grateful. Like sooner or
Hmm.
later, if I'm lucky enough to live 50 years and I'm 98 years old, I don't know that my hands will be able to physically open packs. Like
Right.
every time I play guitar, every time I open packs, I'm like, this, I will eventually not be able to do this. So, and I'm a human being. When I get on a cold streak and I'm not getting any good cards, or I kind of get really tired of a product, like I'm really
Right.
over Series 1 right now, I'm
Me too. No, I feel that.
just over it.
Hmm.
And,
At least series
just kind of,
series one retail.
ugh,
Yeah, it's
so
not.
bad. Although, I will put in a quick plug. There's a video that I posted about getting 32 spring training autographs in one day that didn't perform as well as a lot of my videos, which surprised me because usually those videos do pretty well. If you guys haven't watched that one, go watch it because I pulled a wicked card out of a hanger that I bought at Peoria Stadium where the Mariners and Padres do spring training,
That's awesome.
and it is insane. So I got all of these cards signed IP, but I also pulled a ridiculous autograph. But that's the only banger I pulled out of retail Series 1. I think
Yeah.
it's overproduced, overhyped. I don't particularly like the design of the cards. I'm just over it. So if I'm opening something that I'm just is not giving me any joy and I haven't, I mean, I'm just like everybody else. Of course, I'd rather get a big hit than not get a
Right.
big hit. But I think it is, you have to discipline yourself to kind of go, well, without bad openings, there's no good openings.
Hmm.
Another good thing for you and I as creators is that, I mean, I see in the comments sometimes, thanks for posting this. Some creators only post their really good openings,
Right.
but it makes it, it's more relatable, more human, and it proves the point that like I have pulled some ridiculous cards on camera,
Yeah.
but I'm not getting loaded product. I just open a lot of cards.
Right.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
sometimes I get good hits. But yeah, it's important just to keep that in mind of like, well, you know, um, it's a good day. It's a good day when we get to open cards.
Definitely. All right. So, do you have a favorite card in your collection, whether you pulled it or acquired it through a trade or off eBay or whatever, that's just head and shoulders above the rest, that you will never sell it, you'll never trade it? What is Nomah's favorite card in his collection?
Ooh, ooh. Can I have three?
You can have three. We'll give you three.
Okay. Okay. I have three. I mean, I have a lot of cards that I love. I have three. Two of them I've pulled on camera. So one of them I've shown on camera when I last opened Topps Chrome, but I didn't pull it on camera. So 2019 Topps Chrome, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., True Rookie Red Refractor to 5.
That's
I pulled
nuts.
that card at Grand Slam Sports Cards in Greeley, Colorado, when I was running a business up there and splitting my time between the two. And that card, George and Patrick up there at that shop, if you happen to be watching, hello. But that was a ridiculous pull and the best ripping night of my life too, because about 10 minutes before I got that card, I got a Francisco Lindor red heritage auto.
That is
so,
insane.
so I mean, those two cards at the same time.
Yeah,
But obviously, Vladdy has been starting to really produce lately, and I'm hoping that will continue because that card will continue to increase in value. But I would never sell it anyway. The other one, which I did pull on camera, was I had a 2022 Topps Series 2 hanger where I opened a lot of that product looking for the J Rod and Bobby short print rookie cards.
yep.
That's just a great product because it's got a lot of great rookies in it, but you can get those short prints. But I got a Shohei on card auto to 25.
I
That
remember
was
that one.
insane.
Yeah,
I would not trade that one. That one got onto If Sports Cards as well, which
yep.
was an
I
additional
remember that.
thrill because, yeah, I just love Ian so much. And talk about someone that brings positivity to the hobby. Holy smokes.
Definitely.
And then the other one, uh, a lot of you guys know that before the Corbin Carroll interview, which it just vaulted Corbin Carroll into this new stratosphere where he can't not be my favorite player. But I feel kind of bad because Polar Bear didn't do anything wrong. I still have insane love for Polar Bear. And to quickly recap, Pete Alonso signed a ball for me in the Arizona Fall League and was just as gracious as he could be. So nice. So I rooted for him since then anyway. With the very last pick of the 2019 fantasy baseball draft, the last pick, I picked him and he hit 53 home runs and I won the league. I'm not a betting person, but we were out one night, I think 21 maybe, me and 7 other friends,
Hmm.
home run derby's on. We each picked a guy and threw in $5. He won. And he's just a really good guy. Plus,
Yeah,
he's got an awesome nickname. He's a right-handed hitting first baseman as I was, power hitter. He's got the dad bod, which I think just makes him more
yeah,
relatable. By all accounts, he's just a great guy, does a lot for charity. So I love Pete Alonso. All the reasons I love Corbin Carroll should become apparent if you guys just go watch the interview I did with him because he's just an extraordinary person and he was incredibly generous and the personal connection I have with him makes him something beyond my favorite player. If Pete Alonso is my favorite player, Corbin's my favorite human who plays baseball. We could call
yeah.
it that way. But anyway, um, so Polar Bear being my favorite player for many years now, um, I pulled a Wander Franco RPA out of
Oh no.
Heritage. This is probably about a year ago. It was
Yeah,
after all the controversy had happened.
right.
If I'd have pulled that redemption when Wander was hot, I would have lost my mind. But
Yeah,
thank goodness I pulled it after because I wrote to Tops and I was like, I mean, I think any decent human would feel this way, but especially with what I do for a living, I was just like, ugh.
Right.
And I wrote to them and I said, is there any way that I could redeem this for something else?
Mm-hmm.
They said, not only can you, but you must. We're not redeeming Wander anymore, which I thought was super interesting. So then we had this back and forth about what what to give me that was commensurate value. And I ended up with this just nasty, nasty polar bear card that it's from one of the higher end products. I think it's either Transcendent or
Okay.
5 Star. I can't remember. I should know this because it is my favorite card, but it also lives in the safe because it's pretty
Yeah.
valuable. So I
Right.
don't like look at it every day. But it's just this nasty, nasty patch auto with a big patch, but it's the Jackie Robinson logo from his sleeve.
That's sweet.
And just being a fan of the history of the game and just to get the 42 on there and it's the sleeve from Jackie Robinson day,
Right.
my favorite player, and the fact that Topps took the time to find me a card that I'd be really, really happy with. And I didn't even know that it was a Jackie Robinson day. I just knew that it was a patch auto to 5. And I was like, that
Okay.
sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
But I love that card. So all three of those cards for various reasons, value, rarity, the stories behind them. Yeah, all those cards I love. I would not, I mean, gosh, if you called me up and said, I'll give you $1 million for that card, of course I would. I mean, from a certain perspective, everything's for
Right.
sale,
Right.
but I would not be eager to trade any of those.
That is so awesome. Now, we are getting to our last question. I would just like to say thank you so much for letting us into your world of collecting and sharing your experiences and stories because I know that I love listening to your experiences and all of our viewers do as well. And I love getting a behind the scenes look at Nomah's sports cards. So I just
Thank
want
you.
to tell you, just thank you so much for the time today. I love doing the show with you. It's one of the highlights of my week.
Yes.
Now,
Same,
as
same, same, for
thank you.
sure.
Now, as we close out, we know that you are a huge music fan. We know you absolutely love music. You were hanging out with City and Color recently, and I wanted to pose the question: if you were stranded on a deserted island and you could only have 3 albums
Oh,
until you were rescued, what would those 3 albums be?
that's a very difficult question because I do love music so much. You mentioned City and Color, whom I'm very fortunate that their guitarist, John, is my guitar teacher and has become a really close friend. And as a complete sidebar, if any of you guys need guitar lessons, email me nomahlovesyah@gmail.com and I can connect you with John because when they're not on tour, he does lessons and he is an amazing teacher, an amazing person, an amazing musician, and I was already at a pretty solid level when I got connected with him, and he's just taken me into the stratosphere. So he's a remarkable person. Similar to the question you asked about the my favorite cards,
Mhm.
I feel like it has to be albums that have meaning for me, and all three of these have a personal connection as well. So the most recent City and Color record, "The Love Still Held Me Near," is very dear to me. I had just brought my son to say goodbye to my aforementioned stepmom, his grandmother, who basically was my mom
Mhm.
when she was about to pass. And we were literally sitting on the tarmac at Logan in Boston, about to fly back to Phoenix. And I was just messing around on my device as we do when we're waiting to fly.
Right.
Saw that City and Color had a new record that had just dropped that somehow I had missed. And it was all about Dallas and his loss his best friend and his cousin both passed away within a short period of time. And that album is all about his grief. And so I listened to it for the first time as I'm leaving, thinking I'm never going to see my mom again. And it just hit me so hard in the feels. And
Mhm.
it really helped my wife and I through the passing of her dad as well. So it's an extraordinary record because it's so rich and deep musically and lyrically, and there's a couple of very uplifting songs on there, even though it's it's sad, but it's also just full of hope and love and like gratitude and appreciation. And the musicianship is just off the charts. I'm a big fan of all of Dallas's work that he's put out as City and Color, but this iteration of the band is the one that John's in, and it's the best he's had. I also just have a personal connection because of knowing them a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'm actually about to do a little recording with them, sans Dallas. So I'm kind of, um, he's too busy and he's on tour with his other band right now. But the other four guys, we're going in the studio to record some of my songs,
That
and
is
so
awesome.
yeah, I'm so
That
excited,
is
and
so cool.
full credit to Mrs. Nomah for thinking of that, and for it was supposed to be a 50th birthday gift, and then she accelerated the timeline because she was like, 2 years from now we're going to be so busy with our book and with our new
Right.
business, and like you got to do this while you can, and also while the songs are fresh, because I would never compare myself to Dallas Green, who is such a gifted songwriter, but the songs kind of have that vibe of
Hmm.
lost but hope, love, redemption. So that one for sure. Second one, I would have to say Lost in the Dream by the War on Drugs. Similar to Dal, everything that Adam Grandiseel has put out, I really like since Baby Missiles. The first couple of records were a little meh, but all of the latest War on Drugs, the last four, I think, are just extraordinary from soup to nuts. But that one holds a very special place for me for a couple of reasons. One is that that's the record where I discovered them. It was a really special time in my life as we were just starting our last business that we just left, and we definitely we definitely I don't know, I'm bonded and wired in my head to that record as like just a very hopeful time and a very expansive time.
Yeah.
Also, Adam grew up in the same town that I did, and he used to take guitar lessons at the same place I did. He's a couple years younger than me, but
Okay.
I've had the opportunity to discuss that with him, and I actually got to see him on that tour when they weren't real big yet. And it was my birthday, and he gave me a poster and had the whole band sign it and like gave me a t-shirt. He was just so
That's
gracious,
awesome.
just such an awesome guy. So again, great record, great person, great memories. That one for sure. And then it's in a completely different vein and a complete departure. I would have to say probably the I think they call it Decade of Destruction, but there's this Death Punch put out this
Yep.
this compilation, and it was what got me into them, and so I can get into each record, but that compilation is just so good. And through getting interested in them, I found out that Chris was also in recovery, so then I ended up reaching out to him, and he came and spoke at the treatment center, and we became really close friends, and now like I've seen them a bunch of times, and it's again just like these are my three favorite bands, all of which I've had like personal connection and interaction with. Like Ivan and I talked one night after a gig, and like he gave me this big hug and told me how proud he was of me. And like, that's just so cool. Like,
Yeah.
huge rock star taking time because he's in recovery as well.
Yeah.
Just, that kind of stuff. When your favorite bands turn out to be really great people and you have like a
Right.
personal connect. Now that we're talking about it though, like I have to say, like every Alice in Chains record ever
Yeah.
made, somehow we need to fit them all in. Um, Blackbird by Alter Bridge.
Hmm.
I
Yeah. I
don't know
noticed
those guys, but
your
I've
Mark
taken guitar
Tremonti shirt.
lessons. Yeah, I've taken guitar lessons from Mark Tremonti and from
That
Jerry Cantrell. They both do that for charity. And one of my favorite memories, this has gone on too long now, but one of my favorite memories is after my guitar lesson with Jerry Cantrell, like he left me in the green room, and like one of his handlers was supposed to come find me, And after like 20 minutes, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. So I was just sitting there. He comes back in, he goes, "You're still here?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Nobody came to get you?" I was like, "No." He goes, "You want to go see Bush with me?" Because Bush was opening for them.
Really?
So I'm standing side stage with Jerry, just like, and I look over at him and he's just kind of like grooving. Bush
Yeah,
is doing their thing. I'm like, what is my life? This is ridiculous.
that is awesome.
So I don't know. We've gone from 3 to 5, but yeah, I just love. As you said, I love music. The great loves of my life are my wife and son, baseball and baseball cards,
Hmm.
music, and Zen, and I suppose the whole recovery path. And I'm not super interested in much else. I'm
Yeah,
basically interested in my family, music, recovery, Zen, baseball. That's about it. So, yeah, when you ask me about music, you're going to get a long
yeah,
answer.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for diving into that. And like I said before, the stories, you always have so many amazing stories. And I know that I love listening to it, whether it's baseball or music. And our viewers and listeners on Spotify, they also enjoy it as well. So
Thank
that
you.
is going to wrap up our interview.
Thank you. Can I just throw two quick things out there for the super fans that are still
Absolutely.
here? So I am about to record 6 songs. Some of you guys have asked me in the comments to hear it. I will make it available. We have to master it after we're done with the recording, which I don't know how long that will take. It'll be out on iTunes. The name of the project is Crater Lake. So you guys can just keep your eyes peeled. Hopefully that'll drop in a few months on iTunes, Crater Lake. But I'll also put links to it on my channel. And thank you, my friend, for the interview. You are a great interview and a great person. And I love doing this show with you. We forgot to ask you guys to like the video. It's really important that you like the video and do comment, interact with us in the comments, because that helps the algorithm. And also, we like it. It's fun. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just one more closing thought. You always say if you like one of us, you're probably going to like both of us. So go over to Nomah's channel. If you're coming here from my channel, subscribe, like. You're not going to be disappointed. You're going to absolutely love his channel like we all do. So that is going to wrap it up for us here at Card Geeks. Make sure to like and subscribe, turn on those notifications so you know whenever we post. We will continue to post weekly. We're really excited for the show, and we're excited to launch the channel in the future. So until next time, keep
Keep
on
on
ripping.
ripping.